one of the things about this podcast that I hope comes across is it's not just two tired, angry people ranting about the industry. It's supposed to be entertaining as well.
I hope so. Golly.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Dal, you literally just said to me the phrase, situations are fluid.
They are fluid.
And I already had a segue for that.
Oh, wow. From minute 0 of the podcast.
Yeah,
minute
well, it's not
-1.
a segue if the people listening didn't get to hear the first half of it.
Well, you can do it now.
But I liked it enough that I'm probably going to use it as the headline for the episode.
I'm glad I'm quotable even off the air.
So, what is specifically fluid about the situations is the water pouring in from the ceiling that ruined a bunch of graphic novels again today.
Yay! We did it again.
And here's the thing about today's rain.
Yeah?
It was light rain.
It wasn't that hard.
It wasn't hard at all.
No.
Came in, water all over the front tables.
Great.
But because it rained all day and it dripped all day, I got to see how it's coming in and how it spreads.
Do you think you have a solution?
I do have a solution. And the reason that I'm a little bit late getting to the recording studio tonight is after I dropped Donovan off, I went to the Home Depot. And longtime listeners will notice that I often refer to Home Depot because I'm there all the goddamn time.
You really are.
For the store.
Mostly
And
for this story.
I spent this fix is only about $52.
Okay.
However, what does it always require?
Rain?
A whole bunch of labor on my part,
Sorry, Patrick.
all the way up on the
Oh,
ceiling.
jeez. At least we got the big ladder.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to. It's got to be after hours because I'm gonna have to move all the front tables and all the shelves out of the way to get up there.
Sure.
But it's just the two seams. It runs down the seams.
Yeah.
And then it spreads out on the seams.
Yep.
And my solution, while not great, like the things that I bought are not made to do the things I'm going to make them do.
Sure. That sounds like a Challenger's thing.
It really does, right? Somebody
Gutters usually go outside the store, Patrick, not inside the store.
So that's just it. It's this one gutter area that the gutter's not catching because the gutter would need to be about 3 feet wide.
Are you doing like a perpendicular gutter?
I'm doing roof gutters.
Okay.
Gutters that adhere to the roof.
Interesting.
However, or the ceiling, not roof. Ceiling. Sure. All gutters adhere to roofs. That's the point of them.
That's the point of them generally.
Gutters that adhere to the ceiling. However, the things that I bought have rounded protrusions where you would screw them into a roof. So I need to cut that off to level it because it bumps up and won't stick flat. And there's no real way to adhere a gutter straight up to the ceiling. So I'm going to have to try things and hope it works. But first...
So I have a secondary solution that we've sort of talked about, and now I'm just like, what if we just did this literally every night? Just put like a drop cloth out over the graphic novels.
Yeah, so...
Like we're at a comic convention where you're just like, nope.
I did that this morning.
Yeah.
And it still didn't work because...
Really?
Well, you got to tuck it all the way down the back.
Yeah.
And I didn't, so it was still getting underneath.
That's what I would do, is just basically treat it like a table at a convention, where just every night you lock the door, you turn the lights off, you put the thing over it.
Well,
first thing in the morning, you take it off, you fold it up.
If my thing doesn't work, we'll have to do that. Here's the dumb solution.
I hate doing that. Like, that's,
of course.
That's such a gigantic, stupid pain in the ass. In 2022, for as much as we're paying for rent, to be like, we have to cover the inside of our store at night because water could just leak all over it. Like, that's stupid. But, I mean, that's the reality of the situation.
So here's my really dumb solution that I came up with today to Donovan, is if we mount one of the old roller window shades on the ceiling about like 6 feet out, and then run it down on an angle to the gutter. So as it drips anywhere, it hits that and ramps down. Yeah.
Jesus.
And Donovan's like, but what if it rains in the middle of the night? You're not there to connect it. I go, oh no, it's there permanently.
Yeah, it would just be like
a permanent awning ramp.
A little tarp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at that point.
I said it
put
was
the tarp over the books.
Yeah, look, it wasn't a real solution.
I know, but it's still just like, oh man.
but I was definitely willing to consider it because this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
We lost 5 copies of Time Before Time, a Snot Girl, a couple other books.
I'm sure.
And we just lost more last week.
Yeah. I mean, when it rains during the rainy seasons, I mean, we probably lose a couple $100 worth of books every rainy season. So at least twice a year. Like, I mean, that's ridiculous. But that's the building. And we've been working with the building multiple leases.
The only way it can be fixed is if they tore the deck out that's above us and resealed everything that way, and then rebuilt the deck.
Yeah.
And which they're never going to do.
They're never going to do, because they said that 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When different ownership took over. And that never happened, and it never will happen, because it's just too big an expenditure, and they don't care. Like, we keep re-upping. What's the incentive for them to fix it?
Yeah, of course. They've already got our money.
Yeah.
Or will, or in theory.
I mean, we're not the only tenant in the building where it's like, this is broken, and the building just gave up on fixing it.
Yeah, but it seems like some of the other tenants in the building just put up with it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, this is the way our door is now, or whatever.
Once upon a time, we used to deduct damaged merchandise from our monthly bill.
Yeah, but that was agreed upon with the old owner.
Sure. It might be worth approaching the new owners just to be like, hey, we've lost another $100 worth of books, minimum. We're taking $100 off this month. Like, you owe us $100 because you won't fix this, and it's destroying our products.
So it's the seam between the cement slabs
right.
up on the ceiling that leak. And I had a visitor early in the morning today, and she was helping me.
So it's not Santa Claus. Got it.
Santa Claus is genderless.
Oh, yeah, well, again, so you would say they.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, Santa projects to each person the way
That's true.
The way that person wants to see Santa.
Do you see Santa as a woman? I don't want to put you on the spot.
You believe Santa's a woman.
There you go.
So she was helping me clean off the table and wipe down the books and things.
That was nice of them.
And she'd said, why don't you caulk that gap? I smiled, because that's a question I would have asked at her age.
Of course.
But the answer is, caulking it doesn't stop it. It just forces the water to go somewhere else.
Yeah, you would have to caulk a very large section of the ceiling, and even then, again, the water's got to go somewhere.
Right. So we know where it is.
The water doesn't hit the caulk and then dissolve.
We know where it is now, so we can mitigate it, hopefully. Yeah. If we caulked it, it would be a guessing game of, where does it happen next?
Yeah.
Maybe it's somewhere way worse.
Yeah.
But everything else is fine. Sidekicks, fine. Alley window, fine.
Great.
No problems.
Yeah, it's
just
that seam, because it comes off too far off the wall. And the gutter solution doesn't fix it.
Yeah, well, because it runs in the seam.
Yeah, because it runs essentially perpendicular to where everything else is leaking.
Yeah, the problem is it doesn't drip. It runs in, then it drips.
Yeah.
Donovan had a interesting thought about... I want to...
setting the ceiling on fire to evaporate the water.
Evaporate the water, yeah. Basically about if the way the water runs, you wouldn't need to cap the gutters up top because the water will run a certain way.
Okay.
And I said, that's true, but the caps are up higher than the gutter themselves. So it's the end caps that have to be adhered to the ceiling, not the actual gutter. So we need those end caps on it.
That's true.
And then, so I'm at the Home Depot, and this is the Home Depot in Cicero I've never been to before.
Oh, why'd you go to that one?
Because it was right by Donovan when I dropped her off.
Makes sense.
It was just, Pulaski, blah, 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 Cicero. So it's a little bit smaller, but I found what the gutters are all the way in the back corner. Fine. So it had all of the ancillary pieces I needed. But one of the things is the end caps are also sold as a 2-in-1. The two caps are a set. You buy a set.
Right.
Someone had torn every single set apart in the box.
Why?
So it's all just loose pieces.
Why?
I don't know.
They only wanted left pieces. What?
Huh? And then there was another piece I needed that comes compressed, and someone had extended all of them.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was so hard to get two back in shape. It's like, what? Was some kid just roaming around? I would have done that if my mom worked at Home Depot and brought me to work and said, go entertain yourself for 8 hours. I would do that.
In the gutter section.
Yeah. When I was a child, because my mom used to work at Carson Perry Scott in Yorktown.
Sure.
and she'd take me to Yorktown all day. But, a kid can do plenty of things in Yorktown.
It's true.
A kid can
Almost too
especially
much.
press all these stop escalator buttons.
Yeah. Hypothetically.
Yeah.
A kid. Not anyone
not
know.
a specific kid. Yeah. I'm just saying. That's what a kid could do.
Sure.
But of all the ancillary pieces, what they didn't have, gutter.
The actual, the main part.
Yes.
The thing of the end caps and stuff attach on.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
They had plenty of aluminum ones or metal ones.
Nope.
None of the vinyl ones.
None of the white vinyl ones that we need.
And it's not that they were out of them. They just didn't carry them.
There was like no space for them.
But they have all the supply. Like they have all the
vinyl supplies?
Yeah.
Weird.
Like the hooks, the mounts, the turns, the inside corners, the outside corners.
Weird. The flanges.
I didn't need one. I was going to buy one as a backup.
Sure.
Because we have a piece left that may be enough.
It's like carrying bags and boards but not carrying comics. What?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Is there an audience that just wants the supplies?
So we have a piece, but I need 4 pieces out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be okay.
Okay.
Luckily, I now know where my hacksaw and my miter box are.
Okay.
Because they got moved this week, so that's a good plus. Because in the past, when I did all the guttering last time, I had to borrow all the tools from George because I couldn't find where my stuff was.
Were they in the storage space?
They were in the storage space. Yeah.
Oh.
They were just, I forgot.
Behind too much stuff, probably.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot they were there. Another part of fun today.
Yes.
I'm going to be miming things to Dal to make him to guess words, so bear with us. So what is this?
You're pointing up.
What is this?
You made a circle.
What are the opposite of those two things?
Down, square. Was square down for the day, Patrick?
Square was down, Dal.
Love when that happens.
And it wasn't our square. It was square entirely.
Yeah.
Their servers were down.
I assumed you meant the service because, when the terminal goes down, it's that's a fixable problem. It's a pain, but it's fixable. You can use, a phone or a tablet or whatever. When the service is down, there ain't nothing you can do.
Nope.
You're just I don't know.
At one point, our brand new wedge had just you got to log back in. I'm like, what? And I'm like, did Donovan log us out?
Donovan.
And Donovan's like, I just touched it to wake it back up, and it wanted me to log in. Luckily, this person paid cash, so can't log in.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. Go to the internet. Can't log in.
That's
Go to my
bad.
phone. Can't log in.
Bad.
Search hashtag square up on Twitter. Oh, yeah.
Square down.
Yeah. Square down.
That sucks.
So,
How long was it
luckily,
down for?
an hour?
It still sucks.
A little over an hour. So, luckily, I bought a thing a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever, in service of this type of thing, the PayPal reader.
Oh, right.
So,
does it work with the PayPal app on your phone?
yes.
Cool.
But you have to have, not just PayPal app, you have to have, the PayPal Now app or whatever.
Oh, I see. A specialized app just to do transactions.
So it's, I've already connected the reader to my phone because it's Bluetooth.
Great.
So I just plugged it in to let it charge.
Sure.
And
because it hasn't been used in years.
Correct. We need to, we need to get, which I'm sure both of us have a ton of, a little USB plug-in to put in the zip strip that's by the filing cabinet, so we can just have charging devices in there whenever necessary.
Lightning port or USB-C or what?
USB-C.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I got an extra,
we just need the how Apple always gives you a ton of those. Just the plug.
The USB outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's all. Because we have plenty of cords.
It's literally within arm's reach.
Okay. We have plenty of cords
Sure.
in the drawer.
Sure.
Because I found the one, but I plugged in the other one. But this way, maybe once a month, we charge that PayPal thing just in case. But we'll also need to make sure that you have the app downloaded and Molly Jane has the app downloaded.
Can use those.
Let's see if I don't know if this is if this will fit in the because it's a zip strip.
Sure.
This is too clunky for the zip strip. I think.
I have a really old one.
Yeah, no, not that either. It's fine. I think I have one I can use, and I'm talking the tiny little Apple ones. Right. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I probably have one.
I mean, both of these work, but these are too clunky.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's interesting that you had them. You're hoarding them over there.
I mean, they're just sitting in a drawer unused, and they probably have been unused for years.
So,
judging by the size of one of them, it's from several design iterations ago from Apple.
Yeah.
So, that's how old that one is.
So can you tell me what happened for the duration of Square being down?
Everyone needed to use a credit card or Apple Pay, and they had no cash.
The opposite. Everyone paid cash.
Oh, amazing!
We didn't even ask. They just like,
That's
because
so great.
you know why they paid cash?
No.
Because we were prepared. Because we had a solution.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have fucked us.
Yep. We had continuity of service, so they were like, "I don't need your service."
Oh,
Thanks.
continuity of service is a really good episode title too.
Sorry.
Can write that down. Wow, that's a good one.
Too quotable tonight.
I know, right?
I wonder if everybody had cash because they were in town for Pitchfork. They were just like, I don't know. I didn't assume I'd be able to use my credit
So
cards.
it's interesting you say that because we had a ton of out-of-towners in today.
This is a shit day for them to be doing Pitchfork. I mean, like, I think it started raining pretty much as soon as Pitchfork started.
Yeah, okay. Let me finish my sentence. We had a ton of out-of-towners in today.
Mm-hmm.
None of them in town for Pitchfork.
But still, I mean,
Not
just
a
in
single
general,
person I asked.
like Pitchfork is going on.
was
and it
in
was
for
just
Pitchfork.
A shitty rainy day.
Yeah, my point was I thought everyone was like, oh, you're here for Pitchfork?
Sure.
No.
We had a bunch of people in the store on...
Nobody was in for Pitchfork.
I can't remember if it was Sunday or Monday for Rage Against the Machine, who were playing at the United Center. You could tell because of their Rage Against the Machine t-shirts.
And the lead singer,
Hurt his leg or something?
like on the first song.
Yeah, I didn't really read the articles,
Something like
but
that.
I saw the headline.
You know how he did it? Just jumped around on stage.
He was raging against the machine.
From Raging Against
Too
the
much
Machine.
raging.
Yeah. Yep.
Too big a machine.
Yeah, a lot of real friendly people from out of town who
That's great. Hopefully
were
it
not in
continues.
for Pitchfork.
Hopefully it continues over the weekend.
Yeah. However, it was a shit day.
Yeah, I mean, the weather was such that it was like, I could have told you what you were going to close at today at 10 a.m.
we did okay, but it doesn't excuse their yesterday. Yesterday was good weather.
It was good weather. It was beautiful weather. Oh my God. Thursday was such a nice summer day.
As Donovan pointed out, she's
God
like,
bless.
why do we always do more business when it's raining than when it's not?
Yeah, I'll never forget that one of those exceptionally cold winter days where there was like a cold advisory, where it was basically like no one went to work, downtown was shut down. This is pre-pandemic.
What is that?
And it was like negative, with the wind chill, it was like negative something degrees. And we did like a better Monday than we had before and after. Like the exceptionally cold day was like people from out of town, and they're like, we want to do something, and so we came here to buy comics. Like,
you know the rule, we only do terrible on really nice days.
I don't know if that's true. I think the one
Let me
truism
rephrase
nowadays
it.
is just
always
rain.
do trouble when it's really bad days.
Yeah,
nice days.
rainy days are the ones where that hasn't changed in all the years we've been open. Rainy days are still really bad for business.
Yeah, because it ruins our fucking product.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Why did I censor my F-bomb on that one, but not previously? I don't know. I'm an enigma. Who can say?
Because part of the podcast is PG-13.
I am goddamn charming and sarcastic.
It's been said.
That's been said. Yep. And I will take it. I alluded earlier to a visitor at the store this morning, and I had an interview before the store opened from Haley, the Shy Comic Girl. That's CHI Comic Girl.
Like Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
On Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. And she's only been reading comics for like a year plus, but she's super enthusiastic and has a pretty big following already, and does a lot of unboxings, if you will, if you can call that when you show off your purchases.
I think hauls, I think, is usually what I would go with.
Sure.
People showing off their hauls.
And gets into stuff and is exciting. And she's been to the store a couple times. She was
and I think you've
the
mentioned
sale.
her on the podcast a few times before as someone that people should be aware of and follow.
So she came in to interview for us, me, for a store spotlight.
Yeah, not me. I was not there.
The one part that was pretty great, she kept referring to you as Dal before we started recording.
Uh-huh.
And the second we're recording, you became Dale.
It's fine. I know who she means.
I know. It's just funny because she's like, "Oh yeah, you got it right."
Wow. And then not.
So that was fun. We recorded for a while. She had it edited and up like 2 hours later.
Phenomenal.
I mean, it's so I thought like
as an editor,
in a week or so.
That must make you furious.
Well, video editing, yeah. I mean, that's great. I don't know that there's any audio editing involved.
Sure.
You know, that's my forte.
It is. It's true.
Yeah. But I mean, like, she put the headers in.
That's
she
great.
did some dissolves and stuff.
She's been doing this for a little bit. She's become a professional.
It wasn't just talking to me. She then did a store tour.
Oh, cool.
Which she did a brief one during the I Love You What I've Chosen comic sale back in February.
Okay.
Her and her friend came in, earned shirts.
Okay.
They were on they were doing a comic shop crawl that day.
Okay.
It just happened to be on the sale.
That's great.
Or maybe it was intentional. I don't know.
It's nice when that happens.
But
stars aligned.
She was in, and when we sat down for the interview, and right before she pressed go, I'm like, hold on. She's like, what? I'm like, do you hear that? She's like, no. That is the sound of water hitting paper. So I jump up. I'm like, yep, it's coming in.
Oh, man.
It's coming down. And she's like, that's amazing you heard that. I'm like, it's not...
Heard it too many times.
It's not like a skill that I was born with. It's a thing. No. It's repetition.
Yep.
It's too often.
Hard-earned, you call it.
Yeah. It's not a thing I'm proud of, that I can recognize that sound.
No.
And then I'm like, if you listen, you hear dunk, blink, dunk, blink. The dunk is it hitting the gutter.
Uh-huh.
The plink is it landing on a book.
Yep.
So Haley was very kind to help me pull everything off the front table.
That was nice.
Wipe all the books down. Help me put the tablecloth over everything.
Nice.
Yeah, so we didn't really have any front table books to sell today.
I'm sorry.
And we won't tomorrow either because I left everything off the table because it's supposed to rain tonight.
Right. I think tomorrow during the day it should be nice.
We'll see if I have the energy to work on it tomorrow night, but I doubt it.
I mean, it's been a busy bunch of days. A lot of different projects, store and otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of
happening all at once.
Physical labor, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Now, last week, it was a pretty great episode from the standpoint of listening.
Okay.
And I think it was told pretty well.
Uh-huh.
The number of people who mentioned that they were unhappy with burying the lead, as it were, and how thankful they were that you dragged it out of me.
Which, I mean, in case people can't figure this out, that was Patrick's idea. That was Patrick's idea. Before we started recording, he's like, here's how we're going to talk about this. Because I knew about it ahead of time, and it was Patrick who's like, it'll be funny if I just say it and then try and end the podcast, and you drag it out of me. So I want all credit to go to Patrick, because that was 1,000% his idea.
But also...
And I was just like, I could do that.
Dal's a very good actor, as we learned during the Instagram vignettes from 2 years ago.
You mean liar.
You just give him a concept and let him take it his own way.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that was 100% planned.
Yes.
One of the things about this podcast that I hope comes across is it's not just two tired, angry people ranting about the industry. It's supposed to be entertaining as well.
I hope so. Golly.
So sometimes it's just, you won't fucking believe what happened today.
Uh-huh.
But
I gotta get this off my chest.
Yeah, but other times it's like, hey, we're gonna get to this. We're gonna lead to this.
Let's have fun with this.
We don't put in as much effort as the people that pay money probably want us to put in.
But I think, honestly, I feel like that would lead to a lot worse content.
Yeah,
If we came in with a very, here are the topics for the week that we have to have takes on, I think that's where you get the general, aggrieved feeling of, all I'm going to do is complain about stuff. Because I don't want to talk about these things, but I feel like I have to. And that sort of, obligatory feeling does not create, honest enthusiasm, or doesn't really invite, upbeat feelings.
Yeah, and also you can't just be angry about everything all the time. You have to...
No.
I won't say what or whom, but there was a podcast that was released last week that I listened to and other people I know have listened to. And the point was that the interviewee was just...
Subject.
Ranting.
Yeah.
It wasn't a conversation. It was one person giving a topic and one person yelling.
Airing grievances, basically.
Kind of, but I mean, that sounds like it's back and forth.
No, airing of grievances always strikes me as something where it's like...
A single person does?
I just need you to be present for my anger.
Oh, okay.
This is not a conversation. This is not...
That's weird.
I'm inviting your feedback. It's just no, I've got stuff to say.
You are often present for my anger, but because it's directed at you.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you're present for it, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
I am, yeah. I try to be a good co-host in that regard.
I meant in life. I didn't mean on the
No,
podcast.
I know. Yeah, I getting back to the idea of like trying to make it entertaining. Like, yeah, I don't think we come into it with like bits or anything necessarily. There's sometimes things that we'll want to talk about or topics that we think can fill time. But I'm sometimes, to your chagrin, I'm never afraid to be like, I got questions about the way you phrase that. And like, I want to go off on a weird tangent about like, you made an analogy and I just want to play around with that analogy for a little while.
And you're right. Sometimes I'm like, you're getting off topic.
You're like, no, that was a segue and I'm going someplace.
But
and
it's
like,
my
no,
topic and not yours. So there you go.
No, we can spend 60 or 70 seconds unfurling this thing you just said.
And then there's also times where I'm like, I don't really have a lot today.
No.
Let me see if I can get Dal going on something.
You usually can. It's not impossible. I mean, one, that the things that I'm interested in. Two, the things that I'm kind of aware of. And three, what buttons to push. So like with those three options, you can usually composite together 15 to 20 minutes of content.
I feel like this is the kind of podcast analyzation that we should have saved for like one of those anniversary episodes where we're like, hey, let's do something different.
I don't want to.
Which is coming
up. I just want to
talk
about it now. I just want to talk about it
now.
I
mean, I brought it up, so yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
that's another thing. Not to get too behind the curtain. I don't like saving stuff. I don't want to be like, this is too big a topic. Like, no, let's just talk about it.
Well, if we're pushing an hour, and I'm like, we can get like an hour more out of this.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm one to be like, let's hold this off until next week.
The difference is like minute 52, where it's like, no, we're done.
Yeah. But yeah, we often will save things, then forget we saved them, and never get back to them.
I mean, it's what the whiteboard is technically for.
Sure.
But sometimes it's like, we've definitely had moments where we look at the whiteboard and it's like, what does that mean?
And also, the more things we put on the whiteboard, the faster we blow through them. That's
true.
The less in-depth analysis we give to
like the
topics.
Like the enthusiasm was in the moment, and now it's just like, I don't have anything for that.
Yeah.
Like whatever pro or con I had is now just like, I could just say it and we're done.
There's no explanation of feelings or...
Yeah, the emotional component is in the past. It has not carried over into the present.
I was going to try to segue off of emotional component. I'm like, I don't need to. We're not done with this. This whole... We hope this podcast is entertaining and it's structured in that way sometimes, was in fact the segue.
Yeah, that was the topic.
Because, it's the segue to the follow-up from last week's big story.
Yeah, where did we leave off? You were going to pick up your books?
Yeah, we were getting the books back, and
my mother, who was furious that you didn't take the books with you right then and there, I think, right? Didn't she say?
Not furious. She just said that she would have made sure the books go home at that point.
She can be nervous about those things.
So I had Donovan today, who didn't know the follow-up to the story, and Robert Burns stopped by the store.
I saw.
And he also didn't know the follow-up to the story. So they're like, what happened? What happened? So I'm like, all right. And so I started to lay it out. And they keep asking questions. I'm like, no questions.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I'm telling the story.
We will get there.
The way that it happened. But Bob's like, yeah, but I want to know, I'll get there. And then at one point he said something, I go, did I ask for questions? Yes. Yes, I did? Yes.
I don't remember saying that.
So at one point I go, you guys have distracted me too much. Let me go back to the beginning. When I was 5 years old, my brother started buying comics, and
Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created the Spider-Man.
let me back up.
Joe Shuster.
Let me back up. Doc Savage. All right, so where we left off was I had been to Skokie, the pawn shop owner, I think I can say Jimmy G. Jimmy G was given the books back.
Not Joey G, the mac and cheese guy. This is Jimmy G, the
cash for gold guy.
Yes.
So I'm in his phone as Patrick Comics.
That's how you should be in everyone's phone.
Right?
Patrick Comics.
I'm fair with that. I mean, I prefer Patrick Challengers, but whatever.
I mean, we always call the owner of Dark Tower Mark Tower, so what's the difference?
That's fair. I was very disappointed when I was trying to set up a new Gmail account so I could have a separate Facebook account to bring in subscribers to that one to try to build up the subscriber Facebook group. That Patrick Challenger was taken, so I had to be Patrick Challengers.
That's better.
It is, but it's not. It doesn't flow as good. It's not as good name. It's not as good of a name.
Okay.
Challengers is a bad last name. Challenger is a good last name.
Okay.
Anyway, so the plan was, and I had already, on Friday, put in a reservation for a van from Elite Truck Rental, who we've been using for years. And you put your hand up, but I can't see it in the tree.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you did do that, but the tree was blocking it, so I'm like, what is he doing?
I was signaling that I was going to cough, and then I coughed into my arm.
So we use Elite Truck Rental for all of our convention truck rental needs.
When we did conventions, yeah.
Yeah, well, we found them.
We had problems with other vendors.
Yeah, and these guys, I think maybe George found them. I think George might have found Elite for us.
Okay.
And they have been great.
Yeah.
And we used to use them a lot more, but we still use them every time we need a van.
And what's great about them is they seem really accommodating for, like, last-minute things.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a thing where, like, months in advance we knew we had a convention coming and we scheduled something. This was like, I need a van in 3 days.
We were going to pick up a van to go to C2E2 to load out the last day, and the place we rented it from just wasn't, like, nobody was there.
Right.
They had supposed to have been open an hour before, and nobody was there. And then we started looking up and seeing all the 1-star reviews they had. But anyway,
yeah.
Who cares about them? The Elite Truck Rental on Western, like Western and Grandish, Lakeish.
Right.
Great, really nice people. Always have vehicles available. Their vans are much like they used to be vans. Now they're cargo vans.
Yeah,
they're much bigger
pretty
vans.
big.
Yeah,
arguably too big. I think the last time when we were doing the, I want to say
Shy Tag.
Was it Shy Tag or was it the what was the name of it? The Book Expo thing?
Did we rent we didn't rent a van for the
Maybe
Book
we
Expo.
didn't.
No,
So it must have been Shy Tag.
No, we just used my car for the Book Expo.
Yeah, okay, so it was Shy Tag. And that was a huge...
Listen to that.
Yeah, it's coming down.
Glad I left the table open.
That was, I think, the first time they had the bigger vans, and you were
also,
like...
buckets. I have buckets everywhere.
Smart. You were like, I don't like this van.
Yeah.
Like, you were...
I had you call them to say, do you have anything smaller? And they said, no, this is all it is now from now on. I'm like, no!
Yeah, you were like, this is less fun.
And
anyway.
I'm always uncomfortable driving those, but it's better that I'm uncomfortable because I'm more cautious.
That's true.
So, also, Chris Mitz, once again, available to help.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
And James Van Osdel, also available to help.
Thanks, JVO.
So I rent a van, go get the van, go pick up Chris, and last minute, Andrew is available to help.
Yes.
He had originally thought he wasn't going to be.
Slight miscommunication.
Yeah, there's slight miscommunication. He thought I asked for Labor Day when I asked him for a day of labor.
Yes.
So it's probably my fault for phrasing it that way.
Yeah,
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So Andrew had to sit on the floor all day. So,
but he's young and flexible, so that's fine.
But it's also, we got this massive van, right?
Right.
So we drive out to the pawn shop in Skokie. JVO meets us there, so there's the 4 of us, giant van, pull around to the other side of the pawn shop, which is where the back door was, and that's where the small room with the comics were. Pull up to that glass door and notice the door is boarded up.
Uh-oh.
And it didn't really hit me right away. Because I never saw... Well, I never saw that door last time I was there.
It was always boarded up.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Before we even finished getting out of the car, Jimmy G comes out to greet us, because he was already there ready for us. Knew we were coming at some point.
Plate of mac and cheese.
It would have been pasta. I was going the Italian route.
Sure.
You were going...
I was going the Joey G route.
Yeah.
Breakfast
mac and cheese. It had eggs cracked on it.
And our neighborhood staple, Joey G's mac and cheese.
Yep. So it turns out, Saturday night, they were broken into.
Which was that... So you had gone out there Friday morning.
Yeah.
So Saturday night they were broken
Saturday
into?
night, somebody smashed in the door.
Oof. The back door?
Yeah.
Oof.
And smashed in the door, and immediately, when you go in immediately to the left, is the room with all the comics.
Oh, God.
So he's sitting at home, gets the call that his store's been broken into, and the first thing he thinks of is the comics.
Sure, people knew they were there.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, it's somebody from out of state who's disgruntled who came for the sale.
Yeah, because
the sale was supposed to be Saturday as well.
Yeah, like Friday morning, you had said when you guys had pulled up there was already a line waiting for the store to open of people who came from out of state to buy those books. So, like, a lot of people knew they were there Friday and then I guess Saturday.
Yeah. Not to worry, everybody. The books were fine.
So many stressed out people listening to this podcast now.
In fact...
Have we ever encouraged this kind of tension in our listeners? I don't feel like we have.
Maybe. Maybe when we've been fighting amongst ourselves.
Maybe, but like this is tense.
No, I said fighting amongst ourselves.
All right, that's fair.
Nothing was stolen in the store. They just shattered some glass cases and then ran off when the police came.
Wow, so even none of his stuff was taken?
But I mean, you know what it's like.
Oh, for sure.
You still got to replace a door and all these glass cases.
Every break-in costs at least $1,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they get a dime from you; it costs you $1,000.
Yeah. So comics are fine. They hadn't done anything with the books. There were still piles on the floor. His whole point was, we're closing this room and no one's touching it, so you don't have to worry about anybody taking anything.
That's very cool.
You can take photos of everything before you go. They'll be in the same position when you come back.
That's very cool. Really nice guy.
But that means there were stacks of books on the floor, and we weren't sure. So I brought a case of long boxes just to see what we might need to make extras of.
Sure.
And then some boxes broke during
the various movements. Yeah.
And all the boxes had the lids under them.
Oh.
So it was a lot of like lifting it up. Somebody has to take the lid off because they don't fall naturally.
Did it still have like the books at the front of the box in some of them, like in the photos?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks too.
So that all had to get done, and we kept Andrew in the van because he's the youngest and the spryest. So everybody was.
That's why you kept him in the van?
Yeah, because we would just throw the box.
Oh, and then he would arrange them in there. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Only he's never done this kind of thing before, so we've never taught Andrew the rule of 3 with boxes.
Has Andrew never worked a show or anything like that?
I don't think he's packed up or whatever.
Okay.
Working a show is different than loading and unloading a show.
But I feel like, I mean...
But I don't think so.
I don't know Andrew's history that well with comics beyond, like, he worked at a place in California.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, for me, at my age, when I was working shows, working any part of a show meant you were either loading out or loading in or both.
Or both, yeah.
Like, there was never a point of working a show where it's just like, you just stand behind the table and then leave. Like, no, you are helping load.
So the rule of 3 with long boxes is basically 3 long boxes going one way are the same size as 3 long boxes going the other way.
Yeah, if you turn them perpendicular, like, they line up right.
They line up and they're more sturdy that way.
Yeah.
Andrew didn't do that. He just lined them all up on top of each other.
Yeah, three in a row is kind of a square, I guess, is a way of saying it.
Then you rotate it.
Yeah, and it's another square. And that provides stability for the boxes as you start going up higher levels, because you want to go up very high as much as you can, especially in a van.
Anyway, that's not an issue. It's not like things collapsed or whatever.
That's
also,
good.
he was back there to monitor them as we drove.
Sure. He was there to throw himself under the boxes should they fall.
That's right. So, basically, James and Chris did most of the loading because I was building boxes and putting all the piles from the floors into other boxes.
Sure.
And then I was running around taking the bottoms off and capping the boxes for them. So I loaded some boxes, but James and Chris did the lion's share of the loading.
That's great.
And it was we only had we got there around 9:40, and we only had Chris till 11:30.
Okay, so not quite.
Because he had to go to Bucket Blood to work.
Sure.
So load up. James, we part ways. He goes back off on his day. And then the 3 of us drive back to the new storage facility.
Okay.
And I can tell you that is the only point in the day where we got to go into the bay.
Sure. They have 2 bays, is that right?
They have 2 bays. One is broken currently.
Oh, okay. Like the door's broken.
It doesn't lift, yeah.
The bay's probably not broken.
Yeah.
It's like a giant pit in
and
there.
And over the weekend, as you learned, they have a large box truck they let people rent or use or whatever.
Yeah, it's got their like advertisements and stuff on the side to be like, hey, if you rent here, you can use this truck.
New email from Jackie. It looks like everything's...
Okay.
Well, you can worry about it later.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm talking.
Yeah.
Oh, so... The box truck takes up one of the 2 spaces. There's 4 spaces in the base total.
Right.
So only 2 now. And the rest of the time we had to unload outside because
That sucks.
either two people were in or one, like when I was there yesterday, one massive truck took up the whole thing. So even yesterday I had to unload outside.
That's not great.
Fine. I mean, unloading the truck, the van full of boxes, if we had to do that outside, we could have, but it would suck.
Sure.
And there's that solid 2-inch cement lip that is okay when you're loading other things, but a cart full of comics?
No.
Hell no.
No.
So it's the three of us unloading onto carts and loading them onto shelves. And we were like doing teams of like 2 carts up while one person loads a cart downstairs.
Sure.
Then back and forth. But then when it was Smith's turn downstairs, dude's a beast and loaded up 2 carts by himself.
Amazing.
Yeah, so Chris Mitz, for as far as moving the comics book go, he did the majority of the lifting.
Indispensable.
Yeah, I can't thank that dude enough. He
Nice.
was amazing. We got done by 11:30. All the long
Fantastic.
boxes on the shelves by 11:30. Got him enough time. We drove him home so he could still take his dogs out and then
Sure.
get to Bucket of Blood by noon.
Nice.
The reason it took us a little longer, and the reason having the extra long, extra large van was a good thing, was because, I've done this. I've loaded vans full of comics many times in my life.
Many.
And I think I have a pretty good box to square footage ratio percentage in my head, like a formula for what can
You can
fit
do that
where.
approximation where you're just
Yeah.
like, this is how much space I need for as much stuff as I'm
And I'm like, 50 boxes in this van is not a problem.
right.
There should be plenty of room.
And enough room to even fit an Andrew back there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if you think about lining it up, it would only be, you think like maybe 4 levels high.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think that high.
When we were done, here's a great, there was one giant Tupperware tub, I think I mentioned last time. One giant Tupperware tub. I'm like, that Tupperware tub is not mine.
No.
But those books are all mine because it was the Digest Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, sure.
Off the newsstand.
All the 70s digest stuff from
Yep.
DC. Yeah.
Yep. It was a lot of mini comics like what was
Like
PHP?
Okay.
Was it the Paul Pope one? What was that?
Oh, yeah.
TCB?
THB?
THB? Something like that.
I think.
Not PvP.
And not THC.
Individual Tales of Woodsman Pete comics, not the little digest graphic novel, but the single issue comics
Wow.
Lily Carr made,
Sure.
and half the stuff assigned to me. All of Luke Smarto's college comics,
Nice.
High School High, Cyber Runner, all those were
Can't
there.
get those back.
Yeah, so those are mine.
Yes.
But also, all my Treasury books,
Oof.
like Superman versus Spider-Man,
That's
like
great.
Batman versus the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, things that Andrew had just bought that Batman Hulk book at Fan Expo because he'd been looking for it forever. And I'm like, yeah, all mine got stolen.
Yeah.
Nope, they were back.
Nope.
So the weird thing about... all right, and now this is where I need to go back and say that all this time I've been saying that I had 79 boxes stolen.
Yeah. So like 20-something were missing still.
Right. Well, I didn't have 79 boxes stolen. I had 77 boxes stolen.
Because like there were a couple that were still left in the storage space.
And there were 6 Half-In
going through those
magazine boxes.
Creepsville, frankly.
Well,
Creepsville-
my
Creepsville
one
issues are
box,
still there.
my box of all the work I've ever done, they left that behind.
But also,
No taste.
I remember there being like one brief moment of like, oh, cool, when we were going through those boxes, and it was like, oh, the Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo Nightwing comics
Yeah.
that you were like, I just started collecting those again, and now we can't get them, and it's like, here they all are.
Yeah.
They didn't take this half box.
I think 2 of the boxes I'm still missing are the 2020 comics
Oh, sure.
or the 2019 comics because those were half-size drawer boxes
Oh,
with masking tape where I'd written 2019 box
Sure.
1, 2019 box 2.
sure.
So those I did not get back. But
Okay.
anyway, so I had, I would say 79. It was actually 77 boxes that were stolen,
Yeah.
right? When we were done unloading everything and everything was on shelves and I counted, I got back 71 boxes.
It's outstanding.
Yeah. So there were 71 boxes. So there were an extra 21 boxes.
You felt like you were getting... I mean, when you were doing the math before, you're like, 2/3 of my collection I'm getting back, and a third is kind of still out there in the world. But now it's just, like, maybe a 10th? Maybe?
Yeah. So I'm just missing 6 boxes.
Yeah.
So that's why the truck was full, because there were 21 more boxes than we expected.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, I don't know what I have.
Which is the most frequently asked question, is the, like even Molly Jane was like, did he get back his caps and his ASMs? No one knows what's in those boxes yet. They're like, that is a upcoming step, but not an immediate step.
Yeah, it's going to be months before I know.
Yeah. There's other stuff going
on. And also,
on.
Things are in worse order than before because of how they just got shoved back in boxes to take them.
Yeah.
So it'll be a long process, and while it was always a summer plan to go through them, there are other pressing things that are coming up that are taking me away from that.
Let's hope.
And it'll be a minute.
Mm-hmm. But at least they're safe, and you know where they are, and they're accessible, and they're...
And then, so that was 11:30, right? So
on Monday.
Yeah. So then Parker came up to meet us, and
your nephew Parker.
I don't need to specify. Everybody knows Parker.
Okay. I mean, just in case.
When I say Parker, they get that faster than when I say Dow.
Internet media personality Parker.
Yeah. Parker's pick. Come on, man.
Sure. He'll see you at Challengers. Or Sidekicks?
Both.
Was it both?
With
Sidekicks and then Challengers? He grew out of Sidekicks?
No, it was the opposite. He started it. There wasn't a Sidekicks when he started.
That's true. He ended it at Sidekicks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parker, who will be 20 years old in just a few weeks.
A grown adult.
Yeah, who started Parker's pick when he was 9.
I mean, as a quick segue, there's people who hadn't seen Parker basically for the pandemic.
Yeah.
And had not realized that he was an adult man now. And when they see him, it is jarring. Because
he's taller than I am.
He is a full-grown adult man now.
Yeah.
And I think all of us, depending on how long we've known Parker, or like how often we've seen Parker, have a different kind of mental image of Parker's age.
Sure.
And certainly for people who would only see him a few times a year, when they see him for the first time in like 2.5, 3 years, he grew up. He's a grown adult.
I will say that Parker is one of the kindest, most caring, gentlest people I know, who never has a bad word to say. He's he's soft-spoken but genuine.
Which is weird because he grew up entirely online.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everything about that kid's, like, media sphere is built to turn him into not that.
Right.
It's built to turn him into the worst kind of person. And, like, apparently did not succeed.
You tell him someone's pronoun once, you never have to tell him again.
That's great.
I mean...
I'm reminded a little bit of the Miller and Lord 21 Jump Street movie, where it's the cops go back to high school and they're just like, oh, it's jocks and nerds, and it's like, no, like all the popular kids are like, hey, try and be inclusive and try and be aware of people's like sexual preferences and gender identity. And so like the Channing Tatum, insulting bro bullying jock character is like, I'm on the outside now because no one wants to bully anybody. They just want to be nice to people.
Good times. So then, I forgot to mention that last Saturday, Dal, in a Herculean effort overcoming illness,
single-handedly defeating viruses,
came with me to the old storage facility to help break down all the shelves that I had built for the comics. And when I built those shelves, it took me like an hour to do each shelf, and we tore them down in record time.
Yeah, because it's a 2-person job, as it turned out.
Yeah.
That was the realization, is like, oh, these should never, ever have been built by one person because it makes it take forever. Because, like, they're so... The building and the taking down, like, the shelves are so flimsy and unsturdy until the final step, at which point they're rock solid.
The final step is putting a heavy box on it.
Like, everything up to there, it's like you are trying to build shelves out of...
straws, paper.
I was going to say, like, cooked spaghetti. Where it's just, there's no rigidity to anything. It seems like you have all these solid parts and screws and metal, But like everything you put together pops out and falls over and leans, and you're like, and you're just wrangling it.
I mean, one person literally just has to hold legs.
Yeah, which is the thing. Like when you have a second person, one person is actually building it, and one person is steadying everything. And the thing, both building and tearing down go like nothing.
So, I always when I plan for jobs, I always don't give myself enough time. I always think it'll take this long. Because it should always take that long. It never takes. It takes way longer.
Literally the only place where optimism exists in your life is when you're scheduling projects.
So
everything else is like, it's not going to work. It's going to take forever.
Weekend,
projects, lickety split. Who cares? Come on, we'll be in and out.
Last weekend it was, okay, Saturday, we disassemble the shelves and bring them to the new storage space. Sunday, I'll build the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was my Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Saturday, we disassembled the shelves, brought them over. Took us 15 minutes to build each shelf.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. It's like building them was even faster than tearing them down because tearing them down, I had to understand how they worked.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, once you've disassembled 4 of them, it's like I know exactly
and
what the logic is of these shelves.
Tearing them down, we each did our own thing, but building them, we were working together.
Yeah. But like you could see, I mean, you can look at them and it's like, I think I get how they work. But then when you start actually manipulating them and taking them apart, it's like, oh, I get how everything locks together, so building them is no problem.
Locks together is being generous, but it's supposed to lock together.
Sure. Well, again, once you put the boxes on them.
Because the last thing I wanted to do was unload a van full of comics just in a giant pile and then have to remove them again later. I wanted the shelves to be built, so when we get there, they go on the shelves. There's still a random order on the shelves.
Yeah.
Fine.
But at least they're put away.
Yeah.
So you still have space in the storage space to work on them and do other stuff instead of, like you said, having piles of shelves and piles of boxes and then having to put them all together.
But, as you all know, the other half of the storage unit was all blue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sunday I went over and took every piece of grid wall over.
Mm-hmm.
It was a couple of trips. It probably could have made it in one, but I didn't want to stress out my car.
I mean, that stuff gets real heavy when you put it together. It's just painted,
also,
metal
my car
stuff.
needs to be thoroughly vacuumed and cleaned inside. It's so gross.
I'm sure. So many
but
flecks
anyway,
of things.
So I did all that Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So after everything was done with the comics, Parker, Andrew, and I, our job was to take out the rest of the stuff in the storage unit and bring it over to the new one. Now, the previous shelves that held the comics were still in the storage unit. They're just rickety old basement shelves. And there were 8 of them, but they were grouped together in 2. So there were 4 units of 2 shelves each that were screwed together.
So you could put like a long box on them.
Yeah.
So they were that deep.
Yep. So we had to separate those, but not take them apart, and then cram those in the van. And we excuse me, just talking about it gets me all dusty because, I brought a feather duster, we dusted them off, but everything was so gross.
I'm sure.
These were the sweatiest days of the summer so far.
I believe
for sure. T-shirts that just become a brick of salt stains.
Sure.
So we took those over.
You got the convention experience without the convention.
Yeah, exactly. So those were a couple of trips in the van, and then all of the wire shelves had to be brought over.
Oh my god!
And there's literally a store's worth of shelves.
Yeah, we had. I think when we were looking at them on Saturday, when we were taking the shelves apart, we had a brief discussion of do we just abandon these shelves? Is it even worth trying to move them? Because it's more than we'd ever need.
Yeah,
they've been sitting in here for a couple years now. They're a gigantic pain to move, and they're a gigantic pain to store. So yeah, that was the only real discussion of what should we leave behind was the shelves. I could make an argument for the shelves.
So basically, Parker, Andrew, and I spent noon to 4:30 doing multiple trips back and forth.
Jeez.
Bringing everything over that we could fit. And even all right, we have 4 shelving units in the van at one time. Let's pack everything all around it to make the trips worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I came up with what I thought was a pretty clever way to store the shelves.
Okay.
However, it's a clever way to store them. It's not a clever way to access them.
Which matters less, probably.
Well, talk to me around Free Comic Book Day.
Sure.
So here's what I did, and I'm going to describe this mainly for you.
Thank you, because I haven't seen it. I don't know where they are.
Most of the shelves are 2-footers.
Yes, the wire shelves, yes.
So we got a lot of dumps.
Dumps are the ones that angle out
on
of
the
it,
bottom,
and shelves
yeah.
are like the more strict L-shaped ones to describe them for people who are listening to this.
The dumps that we bought for Blue had an unfortunate sturdiness to where there was an extra crossbar that came down and went over like a very lopsided L.
Yes.
Which made stacking them impossible.
Yeah.
You can't interlock them because of those cross braces.
Yep.
So those are just fucking everywhere, right?
Sure.
So basically, you know where the shelves were on the sides.
Yeah.
Then we put a shelving unit behind each, at the end of each one.
Okay.
Of the rickety old shelves.
Sure.
If you're looking straight down the unit, to the back left, all of the grid wall is stacked up from the back wall to the shelves.
Okay, standing up.
Yes.
Okay.
So the shelves, the 2-foot shelves, are on the floor standing up, and they run across to the other wall.
Okay. So just along the back wall of the
So there's a ton of those there, right?
Right.
Then I put 2 pieces of grid down, stacked up the next row on top of that.
Okay.
Then I put more grid down, and then all the 4-footers are laying on top of those.
You made like a lasagna.
Yeah.
Out of
Yeah.
shelves and grid wall. Okay.
So
that's good storage.
4-footers are easy to get to. Anything else?
Oh no.
You got to take everything apart.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
anyway, like
you said, like Free Comic Book Day is the day that we need to get at that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's only one of those a year.
Yeah.
So it's like.
And look, I'll have plenty of time to go back and forth and rearrange things and figure out what we want to do.
Yeah, and I think, once other things, the calendar clears up a little bit, I think it's maybe worth like just doing like a Craigslist thing in the new year.
100%.
Like, here's these things, and then we'll bring them over to the store, and people can pick them up there.
Yeah, 100%. Happy. Yeah. I started taking photos of stuff for that reason.
Great. Yeah, no hurry on that, obviously.
But like the shelves were a thing. It's like there's got to be a better way. And then like I thought about it for a day. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, that's good use of space.
And then
cut to you go in there on like a Thursday and it's completely collapsed. Like
that's fine. It can't right now because like the boxes full of short boxes are in front of it, and then all the magazine boards.
Sure.
And then dead center is the second tape station.
Oh yeah.
And the little stool.
Yeah.
The little rolling chair.
Their little working space.
Yeah. So once again, I want to give huge thanks to Kelly Davich for finding the listing, Steve Davich for having the foresight to say, I think those are Pat's, and sending it to me. He without like everybody did me huge favors and did a ton of work for me. Without Steve, these books are not back.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said last time, not only did he make the connection that they were possibly your books, but he like double checked with you to be like, have you followed up on this?
Yeah.
Which was crucial because you had not.
Yep. Huge thanks, of course, to James Van Osdol, to his son, to Chris Mitz for all of their crazy hard work, to Andrew Challenger, to Parker for all of their physical labor.
Yeah.
To Michael Romanenko for volunteering his entire family, even though we wound up getting it done without needing them. Marcus Annasso, just yesterday, he's like, when I'm better, because he's sick now.
Yep.
When I'm better, I'm helping you move all those. I'm like, I just finished today.
They're moved.
But thank you. Yeah, so thank you to those people for
sounds like Marcus is going to be backing and boarding a lot of comics at some point in the future.
Yeah, right.
That's a job.
I mean, Andrew's got a free summer, so I'm just worried about Andrew. Like, I want those. I want this. I want this. I want
storage
this.
space is nice. Like, if you got to work someplace, it's the new one's way nicer than the old one to work.
Yeah,
in.
for sure. So one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to stop by and say to them, hey, is it cool if I just like set up a desk and work in my unit? Like, do I need the door open? What do I do?
Right.
But I didn't do that. I did just yesterday close out my account at CubeSmart and tell them how thoroughly disappointed I was that since this happened, I've had no contact with anyone from CubeSmart.
Yeah.
No offer of reparation in any way.
Not at all.
Not like a discounted rate, a free month.
No, and I mean from
nothing.
From what we heard, they were also pushing back against requests from the Chicago Police Department to view footage.
I have information about that I don't think I can share.
Sure. I just wanted to mention, because I think we mentioned it before, that like even CubeSmart was not really cooperating in the investigation very much, and it's like, well, that's great. Thanks. That's going to help a lot.
CubeSmart corporate.
Right. I mean, it's always tough because you got to separate out, like, there are boots on the ground people who have no say over this.
Right.
They are not the legal department.
Yeah.
They are not corporate. They don't get to vote on whether or not, a person gets helped. But at the same time, CubeSmart as a company, terrible. Do not work with them.
So it's been a week, and I know the question everybody has on their minds is, what happened to the person who sold the books? What happened to where they came from?
Yeah, the Jimmy G bought them from.
Yeah. And I'd love to tell you all, but we're at the hour mark.
Oh, geez.
And I don't think that there's anywhere. Yeah, we'll have to wait. No, the answer to that is I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing from no one. I've not been contacted by any police. As far as I know, the Skokie police who had all the information can't act on it because the theft didn't occur in Skokie.
Mm-hmm. And the Chicago police do not care.
If they had to give it to Chicago, no one from Chicago has called me. I haven't called the detective on the case because fuck them.
Yeah, basically.
They've done nothing for this.
Yeah, I mean that's a through line for this entire story. Is the Chicago Police Department have been 0 to negative help the entire time.
And I've said this to many people. Like, I'm not upset that they weren't willing to help me with my investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset because A, this affects 6 people in one storage facility to begin with, and B, these people are presumably doing this at multiple storage lockers all over the city, state. I don't know.
Like, this did not seem like their first go at this, and because of the success of it, it's not going to be their last. If you don't care about comics being stolen, fine. Even though, as Bob points out, the value of the book stolen, that's grand larceny. Yeah, I mean, especially Jesus, and yeah, I mean, the guy who bought them ended up getting burned as well.
Yeah, so he's got grounds to do things in Skokie differently because of how he was affected.
Sure,
but I mean, part of me thought I'd get a phone call from some police this week.
You'd hope there would have been movement in the immediate aftermath of all of this new information, and there was not.
And part of me wants to be like, should I call my detective and be like, hey man,
because that's been the recurring thing is like. It's only the work of people outside the police departments that is making any of this happen.
And while it's a basically happy ending for me, there's still other books I had out there, and also Jimmy G said dude he bought them from had 20 other boxes. Those probably are not all mine,
No. And again, this
part of me wonders if there's boxes of stuff I got that aren't mine, but I don't think so. It all seemed like mine.
The thing about this that is so disappointing and why you'd want police somewhere to investigate and resolve the situation is that the people who did this got away with it.
Yeah.
You didn't get the books back from them. Yeah. They haven't lost anything.
Jimmy honestly believes that the people he bought the books from are not the people that took them.
That they might have bought them from someone else who had stolen them?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
He's like, even though it was a week later, they could have been moved 3 times by then. And he felt like the people he was dealing with really didn't have an idea of what...
Sure. But yeah, I mean, that's why you would hope the police would investigate, because okay, we'll go talk to those people. Who did they get them from? And then if the people that they got them from weren't the people who stole them, where did they get them from? And you work up the chain until you eventually, hopefully, find the people who are stealing goods and then selling them on to other people.
Yep.
That's theoretically how this should work. And so much has been done for the police in this investigation that it's even easier, theoretically, to get a successful arrest. I don't know. That's been the most disappointing aspect of all this is hearing that, everyone you thanked, none of those are police officers.
Nope.
None of those are law enforcement people whose job it is, theoretically, to resolve these situations for people. And they didn't do it. It's down to your friends and... your family. That's it. That's all that was a success.
Speaking of friends, and some of the friends I've already mentioned, I want to say to Steve and to Michael and to Josh and Heidi, once I go through everything I have, I will offer you all your books back. The people that gave me books in the interim, Like, I don't think it's right that I keep their books now that I have mine back.
That's true.
But part of me is like, well, what if I didn't get back some of those? Can I still keep theirs?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said, like, if you didn't get back your Cap books, maybe you keep that one that Steve gave you with the first Falcon. I mean, it was a nice gesture, and it still holds.
Yeah, but I'm more than happy to give them back because, those people saw me without, and they wanted to give what they could.
It was very kind of them to do that.
But now I'm not without anymore.
Yes.
And it's like, if I didn't have any money, and you're like, hey, here's $100, and then I win the lottery.
You'd probably give me that $100 back.
I mean, not you personally, but hypothetically, a person.
A person.
Yeah.
That you felt was more deserving than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Got it.
So yeah, but again, such incredible gestures, and again, Steve Damage, Mike Romanenko, people that I've thanked for other parts of this.
Yeah.
They're there. They were there for me on multiple levels.
Yeah, I mean, for as terrifying and heartbreaking as the initial theft was, I mean, a lot of what's come afterwards has been very heartwarming. Both, the general, like, the universe lined up to let you get your books back, but then the really specific, like, a lot of people that you've, made friends with and met over the years gave of their time and energy and comics to support you. Like, that's really great. That's a huge thing. That's a testament both to their empathy and, you being someone that earned that sort of support from people.
That doesn't sound like me at all.
It doesn't. What was the thing from earlier? Shifty and something else? And sarcastic?
Sarcastic but charming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more right.
As far as other thefts go, there was a guy who got caught at Fan Expo who stole tens of thousands of books from different tables.
Yeah.
And
he didn't steal them, Patrick. They were in his bag. He doesn't know how they got
how
those,
I was going to say, those giant shoulder bags you get at the big shows? Fan Expo had those. And
apparently they make stealing real easy.
After he was arrested and confronted with those books, he had no idea how those very expensive Batman comics got into his bag.
Well, we've all been to conventions, and we know how easily stuff flies off of shelves into bags without us even noticing. Who among us hasn't gotten home after a convention and been like, oh, this $6,000 Batman book is in my bag. That must be like a door prize. Thank you, Fan Expo.
Wow, I guess they have somebody running around like... It's happened to us before. A reverse holdup.
Yes.
Where people come in and, at gunpoint, put money into your register.
I saw something about that at a Weezer concert.
Perfect. I can't believe this whole story took place in a month.
Yeah, insane, right?
And honestly, the way that the storage facility we had that got robbed was a very large one. And after we moved in, we're like, it's kind of too big, and we could save some money by getting to a smaller one. And now we've done that.
We have. And what I think is in every way a better facility.
Oh, hands down. Yeah. Closer, more secure.
Yeah. Better amenities. Good. It's a good space.
We couldn't fit everything in. We had to sacrifice 4 of those 8 rickety shelves and the 3 IKEA red chairs that used to be in the front windows at Challengers.
Those rickety shelves ended up coming in handy because you put them in the garage.
Well, they're not...
I mean, we put mailing supplies on there.
Yeah,
I got to do a bulk order of mailing supplies because there's somewhere for them to live.
I still have to move that goddamn no parking sign that's been in the garage for 14 years. And then just leave it in the alley or something.
Sure.
So they could fit better is my point.
Sure.
But also, I don't necessarily we'll keep them there.
Yeah.
But A, I don't think we're allowed to, and B, I've already hit them once.
You've hit them a few times.
I've hit them once.
You hit them once that I wasn't there, and then I know there was a time where you're like, let's see how close I can get, bump. Oh, that's too close.
That doesn't count.
No? Okay. That was an experiment. Sure.
Hitting them by accident is what I mean.
I gotcha.
But then the chairs are in the garage, too.
They are. And those can't
I had to tell
there.
Bob, I'm like, you can't use the garage today.
That's the problem. You put the chairs in there, and it is a one-car garage.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens.
Sure.
Then there was, Sean Kirkham from Skybound?
Okay.
No, is it Sean Big Clutch?
Yeah.
Skybound? Okay. His storage unit got stolen.
Oof.
Or broken into, and it's a ton of... Oh, yeah, it was Skybound, because it's all Walking Dead collectibles, statues, pops, and things. But, rough. I mean, he's got great security footage of the guy and passed it around to the Chicago stores. Ryan Leibowitz from Golden Apple was sharing it with a lot of people. And they're like...
This is L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's
we're
Chicago
we're
for
pretty
a second,
sure.
'cause,
did I? I'm sorry.
The Chicago police are not going to help him.
No,
let me jump to the end of that one. L.A. Maybe.
Didn't even know I said
Probably
Chicago.
not, but maybe.
So yeah, bad couple of weeks for collectibles, comics market stuff being stolen.
Yeah, I was reading a thing on ICV2, I think, where they had just had a little, like, or maybe it was The Beat, one of the two, had done a little roundup of, like, store closures and stuff like that, and they were talking about a store that got hit twice in 1 month.
Oh, yeah.
And only the second time...
Was it the arsonist? Was it Happy Harbor?
No, I can...
Remember somebody trying to burn Happy Harbor down twice?
I do. No, this is something where the damage was minimal, and each time it was like they were just stealing Pokemon and Magic cards.
Okay.
And they made an interesting point that I hadn't really considered, and that's Pokemon and Magic cards in particular are a lot easier to steal because you can more easily just open stuff up and then sell single cards. And once they're open, no one has any idea where they came from.
No.
Yeah, it was on ICV2. Which store was it? It was Blue Highway Games of Seattle, Washington.
Oh, I don't know.
3 times in the past 2 months. Only stole cash once. Store is currently running a GoFundMe to pay for improved security. Yeah, it's that's super disappointing. From the same article, as long as I'm just on this, Amalgam Comics and Coffee House
in Philly,
shutting down.
No,
7 years in business. Cumulative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic dealt a serious blow to the business. The owner wrote an email, and despite our best efforts to fight our way back, I must come to terms with our current reality.
Is that Ariel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which, I mean, if your business model is comics and, like, a place for people to congregate, the second half is incredibly tough. I know that coffee shops, in general, I feel like have kind of rebounded a bit. Like, the ones in our neighborhood seem like they're well-trafficked. But I think if you're depending on the, like, they're going to be here for a few hours once a week, I don't know if that's going to happen.
One of the things about that's just so disheartening is that Amalgam had gotten constantly so much press, so much notoriety, and even all of that.
Didn't they have like an early day thing of like Ava DuVernay or somebody was like talking that shop up?
Yeah,
that's great.
And like even with that, like that doesn't help. That's like when Haley wanted to do an interview this morning. I'm like, yeah, I'm down for any store promotion we can do, and like letting Steve Dolinsky from the Hungry Hound come in and talk about Oishinbo or food and comics or whatever, like all that stuff. You think people are going to find us, and then they do or they don't,
Yeah, like I think the weirdest thing that the stuff that's helped us the most as far as promotional things, and I guess it's because of the overlap of the audiences, is anything we do with wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, I think, remember you had done, was it for local comic shop day? You'd had like WGN or somebody came out.
Yeah.
And all you got from it was like people calling up saying, "Hey, I saw you on WGN. I have some comics to sell." And it was like, this is not helpful at all.
I will, to be fair, Daryl Harvey, the Sunflower Series author and my college roommate.
Yes.
He got a lot of foot traffic from that event.
That's great.
From that, those stories. People were like,
that's awesome.
Whoa, I want to go meet that guy.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was Stephanie Maida, John Messentono, Daryl Harvey.
But I know that plenty of people who've come in from out of town that have mentioned finding our shop. They find our shop because the Marty and Sarah podcast or Colts podcast or the various CM Punk things that we've done. Or
I had a dad in today whose son was still back at the hotel. And he FaceTimed him just to show him all the wrestling action figures to say, all those wrestlers were in this store that I'm at. Because they're big wrestling fans.
Yeah, and that's the sort of stuff that not everything is a super huge hit that drives a ton of traffic, but like the wrestling audience is so big now, and we have a bit of a connection to that market, so that when things like Forbidden Door happened, we saw a ton of traffic from people who are out of town, who are in from out of town, who are going to the United Center, and they're like, I want to stop at Challengers. I made a special trip to go to Challengers because I'm a wrestling fan, and I know that they've done a lot of wrestling stuff, and I like comics, and I like wrestling, and, kind of becoming not synonymous, but like in the conversation with, Chicago wrestling is probably the thing over the last, 13, 14 years that has been the most valuable to us.
And it's great when people from out of town talk about how great the story is or how it lived up to their expectations.
Sure.
And that's why we do it. That's what we're shooting for.
I mean, I do it for money, but I also enjoy when people say good things about the story.
and that's the problem.
That is weird.
Yeah. But yeah, I that's why we do it.
Yeah.
Having people say, "Oh my God, the story's so great."
That is very rewarding. Like, not literally rewarding, that's what the money is for.
Right.
But emotionally rewarding, it can be really fun to have unsolicited compliments. We had recently a kid in for the first time they'd ever been to a comic shop, and they got a bunch of books, and they were super excited to be there, and the parent was really excited.
Oh man, we just ruined that kid for every other comic shop.
Really did.
Yeah.
You're going to go to some other shop, and they're not going to have so many kids' books. Like, that's another thing, is just hearing from a lot of parents where it's like, you have all the books my kid wants. Like, I heard that literally verbatim from someone earlier this week.
We had a dad come in with his 2 young daughters, and they all had really fun umbrellas. Like, they were all animal-themed handles.
Okay.
Like, there was a giraffe head.
Sure, makes sense.
A parrot.
Parrot works too.
A flamingo.
Flamingo works?
Yeah, love them. Thought they were great. And each of the girls bought 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest one bought 2 Mr. Wolf's Class
Great.
volumes, and the slightly older one bought 2 Investigators.
Okay.
And they were both super excited what they got. This one's
awesome.
like, I love Investigators so much. I'm like, you're right to.
Yeah.
John Green's a good guy.
He's a good guy. I'm glad he's finding some success. And has been for a while.
Yeah.
I make it sound like it just happened and like it's a secret. Like,
yeah.
No, Investigator sells really well.
I do sometimes confuse Dave Roman and John Green in my head.
Sure.
But also they're friends, so.
And they were at Challengers on a group signing.
Together, yeah.
I can't remember who the third person was.
Jersey Drod.
Who the fourth person was.
No, I don't know who that was.
Okay.
I don't know that they've done much in comics.
Sure.
Only
one of the biggest names in comics of all time.
For the second time. Who will never get again, ever.
No, way too big for us
Way
now.
too big for us.
Raina is way too big for us.
All right, so there we go. Thanks to Adam Gorham for signing.
Thanks, Adam.
This
Super
past
sweet
Wednesday.
Guy. Super sweet guy.
Great to meet him, and
hope he had fun at G-Fest.
Adam Gorham and upcoming Wes Craig on the Thursday before C2E2.
Yep.
The 6th, 4th.
I think it's the 4th.
August 4th at 1:30.
Yeah, August. I was going to say April. No,
Yep.
August.
That's a mistake I would do.
That's going the wrong direction.
Both of those people are from Canada, and both of them approached us.
Is that right? Is Adam from Canada?
Yeah.
That explains why he's so sweet and polite.
Yeah.
I just assumed he was a good person, but instead he's Canadian, which means it's genetic.
Yep. So yeah, both of them, we have no relationship with them. We have no connection to them. Both of them reached out and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Chicago. Can I shop at your? Can I sign at your store?"
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Happy to do it.
We will make that happen.
Yeah. And even people like Haley, who doesn't live anywhere near us, makes it a point to come out to our store as often as she can.
How nice.
But also, like, she wants to go to every store in Chicago. She wants to spread it around, which is great.
For choice, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I was describing comic shops to one of the out-of-towners today, and I didn't use names of stores, but I'm like, every store is vastly different.
Yeah, true.
You know, you have your dollar book extravaganza store. You know, you've got your gold and silver age store.
Right.
You've got your 90s clubhouse store. And when I said that, Donovan started laughing so hard. For us today, she just kept saying, 90s clubhouse.
Mm-hmm. Some people like that.
Right, no, that's and it's funny because even she knew who each store was without me saying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good times.
I mean, we used to have the 80s clubhouse store, which was Variety.
Yeah.
Like, that was a very 80s store.
I mean, it's almost close to the 70s store.
I think of it as an 80s store.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that, like, the specific kind of, like, wood-paneled, slightly underground...
See, to me, that's 70s.
Huge paintings of comics characters outside is very 80s.
Yeah, wood paneling and shag carpeting to me is the 70s.
I'm gonna stick
shops,
with 80s because the promo posters that were up in Variety were from the 80s.
That's fair.
And still on the wall. That's how you
there were a
date
few
that
90s ones as well, Dal.
That's true. There were, I think, some Ultraverse ones.
There was a Max.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was a Max, but a Wizard Max.
I think they might have actually had the Fall of the Mutants promo poster still up. The Alan Davis Fall of the Mutants promo poster.
Yeah, something for everybody. But we're thankful for the people whose something is Challengers.
Yeah, thanks, folks.
Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.